Welcome to The Chaos of Scale, the podcast dedicated to helping scaling businesses navigate the human side of growth. I'm your host, Andy Golding, and today we're diving into our fourth guiding principle, own your human. We've already covered our first three The Chaos of Scale guiding principles of pause for quality, beware the curse of knowledge, and lean on kindness in our previous episodes. So this fourth episode in our introductory series on Own Your Human will conclude our introductions. Today we're going to look at how owning your human really impacts organizations and teams and people during these periods of rapid growth. And I'll share some practical strategies of how you can implement this immediately to really make a change. And as always, I promise to leave you with at least one actionable step that you can take to own your human at work, and at least one thing to think differently about in how you work with others. Hopefully, these actionable steps will help you show up as a rad or even more rad human at work. You know the drill. Please like, subscribe, share, and for some extra kudos, if you find the episode valuable, please leave a review. Before I dive into Own Your Human as a guiding principle, I think let's take a quick look back over the other three guiding principles. Firstly, why do we even have these four principles at the Chaos of Scale? Well, business growth is messy and it's loud and it's overwhelming, and we can't really grow a business without growing our headcount. And as we add more people, so we add more complexity. And as this scales, so we really tend to want to put in rules and processes and box things up nice and neatly. But the human side of things doesn't really work that way. So instead of getting tripped up on frameworks and guidelines and handbooks, and these all have a place, but in the chaos of scale, we need simplicity. And that's where the power of these four guidelines lies. Simply, the four chaos of scale guidelines are: guideline 1, pause for quality. To elevate the quality of the work that you and others deliver, choose high quality over high speed. Secondly, beware of the curse of knowledge. What do you know that they don't? Communicate from the insight and context that they need, not what you take for granted. Our third guideline, lean on kindness. Even when you don't want to, even when rage and annoyance are easier and at the wheel, kindness sets a really powerful undertone for success. And our final guideline, own your human. We're all human and we're all fallible. And as leaders and colleagues, sometimes we will get the human interaction stuff perfect. And sometimes we won't. And that's okay. It's going to happen. We just need to be intentional about being better next time and being consistently good at the human side of work. And Own Your Human is such an important guideline, because when we get caught up in the chaos of scale, we can often get tunnel vision for completing tasks, reaching milestones, and we lose sight of the fact that the people doing the task and the work to reach those milestones all have lives outside of the office. They have an entire world outside of this job that they're navigating. And when we ignore the fact that this person is a whole human and we stop humaning with each other, we lose that magic and we lose sight of the impact that life has on how we show up and deliver at work. The best work is done by people who feel connected and valued and seen. I'm only one human. I'm only one whole me. I'm not work Andy and other Andy, and sometimes Andy has a crappy night's sleep, or sometimes I have stuff going on at home or things to take care of, and this affects how I show up at work because I'm human and that's normal. We just need to make it safe to own our human. I'll own my human right now. I don't think you can see this, and if you're just listening, you certainly can't. But my dog's just walked into the room and she's come to say hi, and we're just going to roll with that. You might have actually just heard her shake in the background. Owning my human. Another example, consider the senior manager whose baby was up all night and has hardly slept, and he says nothing. But throughout the meeting, you can see he's not fully engaged. You can see his attention is elsewhere and he's off topic with asking his questions. It's kind of annoying and it even feels a little bit disrespectful. You made the effort to be here and you made the effort to be prepared, and he couldn't be. He couldn't be bothered. And so it sets off this kind of chain reaction of unpleasantness. If he'd started the meeting by owning his human and saying, look, I'm so sorry, I've had a terrible night. I've barely slept. Baby was up and sick all night, but I'm here and let's see what we can do. Suddenly his behavior makes sense. Suddenly it's understandable and you have context, so you can adjust your expectations of him accordingly. This means I understand where he is, how he's showing up, what he's capable of, and what is a fair or unfair or unreasonable expectation of him. When you ask the question, how are you? Or you start a meeting with, how are you? And everyone just provides the surface level, I'm fine. It gives us nothing to work with. If I own my human and say, you know what? I'm feeling fantastic today. I went for a great run this morning. I'm feeling super energized. That sets a great tone. It lets the people who I'm working with know how I'm showing up, and it sets some realistic expectations of one another. It allows us to meet each other on a feasible playing field of this is what you're coming in with, and this is what I'm coming in with, and this is how we can do this thing together today. Expecting the mom who's working from home with a sick baby who couldn't go to daycare to be at full capacity is not reasonable. But if we don't create the space for owning your human, then we'll never have this full and reasonable insight of the context with which I'm showing up, or this mom is showing up every day. I've worked with leaders and teams who never owned their human. And I've worked with leaders and teams who always own their human. And I can tell you that there are a few things that happen when we do create this culture, and things happen to the culture when we own our human. We make it safe to not be okay, to not sprint every day. So here we're playing the long game. We're playing the long game, looking for long-term high performance. We're not playing the short game of burning all of our resources up front. Remember, scaling is a marathon and not a sprint. When we own our human, we create trust and a sense of having each other's backs. So here we're leaning on kindness. We're owning our human. We're making it safe for each other. And that's when you get the best out of people. That's when you unlock these high levels of contribution, people's best thinking, discretionary effort, call it what you will. But when we create this sense of having each other's backs, magic can happen. We also start to create a culture of connection and understanding, not a culture of results at any cost. A culture of connection and understanding is a culture that plays the long game. It creates resilience and stamina, and that is what we need when we're navigating this chaos of scale. And yes, of course, more and more we're relying on tools and software and bots and AI to get our work done. But behind that tech, and behind the tech that makes our businesses and services run, it's still people. It's still humans who are affected and impacted by everyday life. And we unlock so much massive potential and contribution by letting the humans that we hire be human. And when we don't create the space for people to own their human, you leave so much magic on the table. If you don't already do this in your team or your organization, it can absolutely feel a little bit uncomfortable or icky to get started, because it requires us to be a little bit vulnerable. And it will take a bit of courage to get started with this. But I promise you that once people begin sensing it is safe to own their human, they will too. And the result, the level of connection and understanding that you'll get from it, will be so worth it. Your action item from today's episode: next time you join a meeting, answer, "How are you?" with more than "I'm fine." Give some tangible information about how you are showing up today and start to see the shift that this creates in people. Do this consistently, and soon others will start doing it too, and you'll really notice a palpable shift in the tone of interactions with people. Or start your next meeting with the question, "How are you arriving here today?" And then you start open with an honest answer to set the tone for everyone else to share. Own your human. Some days are wonderful and some days suck. Sometimes life is loud and overwhelming, and it impacts the way that we show up at work and the amount of magic that we have to give. That's okay. Welcome to being human. Own it, because when you own your human, you admit with honesty and vulnerability how you are arriving in that moment. By owning your human, you create context for others about your state. You create the opportunity for them to meet you where you are at, and you enable and facilitate better interactions. If you know someone is tired or unwell or overwhelmed or distracted, you have a better understanding of why they may be acting a certain way. And you can adjust your approach to the situation, and they can adjust theirs too. It's the one thing that we all have in common: being human. Let's just own it. Thank you for joining us for today's episode. And if you found value in this conversation, please share it with a colleague or a friend who might be experiencing similar challenges. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Andy Golding. This is The Chaos of Scale. Remember, business growth is messy, but the human side doesn't have to be. Until next time.